Hello. Hello. Hello.
Good evening, sir.
Good afternoon to you all. Hello.
Sir.
Okay. So we will start our session. So today we will discuss inflation, unemployment, and the rational expectations. So these are included in block 2 and they are in unit 6 and 7. So inflation and unemployment. So these are all uh, widespread issues and almost each of us are aware about it. So inflation is said to be a situation in which the price level, the general price level increases continuously so that there is a fall in the value of money as well as purchasing power. So naturally, inflation is defined as a situation. It is a worldwide situation. Almost all the countries of the world, they are afflicted by this type of problem. And inflation is defined as a situation in which general price level increases continuously so that there is a fall in the value of money or purchasing power of money. So inflation, why do inflation occurs? What are the basic reasons behind inflation? And whether each and every price rise can be called as inflation? These are issues in which economists have given their views. So John Maynard Keynes, an important modern economist, he holds the view that each and every price rise cannot be called, cannot be termed, cannot be defined as true inflation. That means he was of the view when prices rise beyond full employment, that means when prices continue to rise beyond the full employment stage, then only real inflation occurs. So that means to him, if prices rise before the full employment stage, then this will create more employment opportunities for the unemployed resources. As a result, there will be more output. So this type of situation described as semi-inflation by Keynes, semi-inflation or half inflation. So he was of the view that a true inflation or real inflation takes place when prices rise beyond the full employment stage. That means when the economy reaches full employment and prices continues to rise, then there is no possibility of increasing output. There is no possibility of more employment, so that the only result is price rise. This is the view of Keynes. So that means we cannot call each and every price rise as true as inflation, so to say. The classical economists, on the basis of quantity theory of money, they accepted money supply or increase in money supply as the most important cause of inflation. But there are other causes also which cannot be overlooked. So first of all, we will discuss what are the causes of inflation. So as students of economics, you have some basic knowledge and you know that there are number of factors which are behind inflation, which are responsible for an inflationary price rise. So Notable among them is increase in money supply. So the classical view that increase in money supply is a major cause of inflation holds good in modern times also. So this is found to be the chief cause of increase in demand for goods and services. So when money supply increases, this does not create a direct and proportional increase in money supply in prices or cause a price rise as said by the classical economists. Actually, what happens when money supply is increased, purchasing power is shifted from the government to the public. So, money supply is regulated by the government. So, when money supply is increased, so another thing is also there. You must know that money consists of not only the um, legal tender money, it also includes bank money as well. So money supply not only includes legal tender money. Legal tender money means those type of money which have legal sanction behind their circulation, which are lawfully circulated by the central bank or by the monetary authorities. People are legally bound to accept them. So there is also limited legal tender and unlimited legal tender. You must have known that limited legal tender money consists of especially the coins in terms of which we can make limited amount of payment. We cannot force someone to accept large amount or unlimited amount of money through these coins, through these metallic coins. So in India, coins of the denomination of 50 paise or less, they constitute limited legal tender. And we cannot make payment to the um, in excess of 25 rupee by using these coins. However, it is a pity that no metallic coins, not even 50 paise are in circulation. 50 paise now is now lawfully accepted as money, but nowhere we find 50 rupee in circulation or nobody likes to accept 50 paise as a legal tender money. Even 1 rupee coins, the small 1 rupee coins, which are mostly found on the what we call the envelopes, gift envelopes, they are also not accepted by most of the shops. ଆମର ଯୋଉ ସବୁ ଖାମରେ ଯୋଉ ଟଙ୍କିକିଆ ଛୋଟ ଟଙ୍କିକିଆ ଅଛି ସେଗୁଡାକ ବି ଦୋକାନୀ ମାନେ ଆଜିକାଲି ନଉନାହାନ୍ତି, ଦୋକାନୀ କଣ ଭିକାରୀ ମାନେ ବି ନଉନାହାନ୍ତି। ଜାଣିଛ ପିଲେ, ତେଣୁ ଏଇଟା କଣ ଆକ୍ଚୁଆଲି ଦେ ଆର ଇନ୍ ସର୍କୁଲେସନ। ଯୋଉ ଛୋଟ ଟଙ୍କିକିଆ नो କଏନ ହେଲା 50 ପଇସା ହେଲା, ସେଗୁଡାକ not these are not banned by the monetary authority in India, but nobody likes to accept them. So when money supply is increased, then what happens? Purchasing power is transferred to the people. So when people have large money with themselves, they demand more goods and services. So this cause aggregate demand to increase. When aggregate demand increases, supply remaining same, what will happen? Prices will rise. So increase in money supply is the basic cause of inflation. Next one is increase in disposable income. So another cause of inflation or increase in demand for goods and services include a rise in the disposable income of the people. So when disposable income of the people increases, this will cause aggregate effective demand. So how does what is disposable income and when does it increases? So disposable income means the income at the disposal of the individuals. It is the after tax income, so to say. So if we deduct taxes from the income of a person, then this is called disposable income or after tax income. So when after tax income increases because of reduction in taxes, if tax rate is reduced, if some of the taxes, some of the old taxes are abolished, then what will happen? And there will be increase in disposable income of the public, with the public. So this is reflected in increase in aggregate demand, and there will be a price rise. So a very important factor is in the form of increase in public expenditure. So nowadays, the functions of the government are very much wider. Government now intervenes in each and every field. The classical era of justice, police, and arms are gone. Government in the modern age, they undertake a large functions, including the traditional functions of justice, police, and arms. Government nowadays undertakes a lot of welfare schemes, starting from the supply of necessary goods through the public distribution system. Hello, ପିଲେ ଶୁଭୁଛି ତ?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. ମୋର କାହିଁ interruption ହେଲା ତ ମୋବାଇଲ କଟିଗଲା. So, due to the expansion of government activities, government expenditure is increasing by leaps and bounds. In a country like India, in a large country like India, government function is increasing by leaps and bounds. Government is not only undertaking a large number of welfare schemes, it is in following so many things, so many programs, so many schemes, like a purchase of or ensuring margin minimum support prices to the farmers, giving subsidy, input subsidy to the farmers, to the producers, supplying what is called instruments, inputs like fertilizers to the farmers at subsidized rate, giving gas, LPG to the poor people at subsidized rate, so many things. And in a populist government, government is going to capture the people, their votes. In order to do that, government is following. It is distributing umbrella, then blankets, so everything. So government is also undertaking economic and social infrastructure, so that they are spending a lot of money. And when all these money, so when government undertakes welfare schemes, it does not finance it by printing more notes. So people in the rural areas, people without much economic knowledge, they argue that government is spending money, government is spending all this type of money by printing notes. But this is not so. Government cannot finance its welfare schemes by printing notes only. If it does that, then there will be prices will skyrocket. No one will be able to purchase even the necessary articles. So, increase in public expenditure, it increases aggregate effective demand as well as maybe some of the government expenditures are able to influence, are able to increase supply as well. For example, government is giving input subsidy to the farmers. Government through its agencies is purchasing rice, wheat, and other agricultural produce at the minimum support price. So this type of activities, they encourage the farmers to produce more, supply will increase. But all the type of no, not all type of government expenditure promotes supply. So increase in government expenditure is instrumental in increasing aggregate demand that cause general prices to rise. So increase in consumer spending is another cause of inflation. So when consumers spend more on different consumer durables as well as other essential goods, prices will rise. So normally we have discussed the point that due to demonstration effect, most of the people in India, not in India, every part of the globe, they try to purchase costly luxurious goods called consumer durables like TV sets, fridge, air conditioners, motor cars. Most of these goods are now available on hire purchase scheme in installment basis. So this promotes consumers, this encourage the consumers to purchase them. So all these type of purchases, they are also accepted as a cause of increase in prices. So cheap money policy is also a major cause of inflation. Cheap money policy, normally monetary policy, there are two types. One is cheap money policy and other is dear money policy. So cheap money policy means increase in money supply. Suppose government follows cheap money policy. As a measure, it has to reduce the bank rate. As a part of the cheap money, it may reduce the bank rate. So when rate is reduced, the commercial banks, they are also encouraged, they are also stimulated to reduce their interest rate, which they charge from their customers. This is a easy money policy. So when monetary policy, the government follow easy money policy, the central bank follows easy money policy, then aggregate demand will increase and this will cause inflation. So another thing is deficit financing. And we have discussed time and again that due to large scale expansion of government activities and due to mounting public expenditure, modern governments follow, they have to resort, they are bound to resort to deficit financing. And deficit financing means it does not mean printing more notes. Rather, it means borrowing from the public, borrowing from foreign agencies or foreign governments, maybe foreign international financial institutions. To some extent, deficit financing may entail issue of notes to some extent, but by the full amount. So when the government follows deficit financing means when receipts of the government fall short of expenditure. Revenue. Revenue, there are two different aspects, two different things. Receipts means income of the government from all sources, including borrowing. But revenue means that part of the government income which does not increase its liabilities. Liability के increase न करिकी जो receipt आसे सेटा हला revenue. किंतु सबो income को हमें receipt बोली कहि परिबा. So when government borrow money from the public, this is a part of government income, not government revenue. Okay. So deficit financing is inflation, induces inflation, causes inflation. So another cause of inflationary price rise is an expansion of the private sector. When the private sector expands, when there is a huge investment in the private sector also, this creates more and more demand for goods and services. So demand for more and more or larger demand for goods and services certainly create inflationary pressure. So another very uh, unwanted thing, unwanted cause of inflation is black money. So black money means money earned illegally. So when money is earned illegally, this is called black money. And from an unauthorized source, it is claimed that as high as 25% of India's national income is in form of black money. So when there is huge black money in an economy, this which mostly arises due to corruption, due to tax evasion, this will create large scale demand for goods and services. So when people get easy money, ସେ ଯୋଉଟା ଆମେ ଏବେ ଦେଖିଲେ କର୍ଣ୍ଣାଟକରେ ପୋଲିସ ମେ ବି ଡିଜି ଅର ଏଡିଜି ତାଙ୍କ ଝିଅ ସ୍ମଗଲିଂ କରି ଆଣୁଥିଲା ଗୋଲ୍ଡ. Power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So when there is absolute corruption, the invasion of black money invades the economy, as a result of which when a person earns black money, he can want 5 cars for their children. He may make a gift to the extent of lakhs of rupees to someone else. So all this type of expenditure as a result of earning black money is responsible for huge price rise. So another cause of inflationary price rise is repayment of public debt. Public debt means debt undertaken by the public authorities, especially the government. When a public debt is repaid, when the government make repayment of public debt, so purchasing power is transferred from the government to the public. So those who have purchased government bonds, they will get money. So their purchasing power is. So in that case, aggregate demand for goods and services will rise and there will be price rise. And last but not the least, we have the factor in the form of increase in exports. So normally export of goods and services bring income, bring inward flow of income. So when export earning is more, aggregate demand will increase. So this is also accepted as a factor behind aggregate demand and accepted as a cause of inflation. So these are all these are the factors that we have discussed. They are behind the demand side. All these factors cause demand to rise. So inflation cannot be considered one-sided affair. Both the sides, demand side as well as supply side, they have to be considered. So in the demand, we have discussed these 9 or 10 factors. There are also factors behind the supply side. So when supply increases, prices will not rise. Supply remaining constant, when demand increases, prices will rise. Similarly, demand remaining constant, if supply falls due to some reason or the other that we are going to discuss, with constant demand, with no change in demand, if supply decreases, there will be price rise. Prices will rise and an inflationary price rise will take place. If supply increases, then this is not inflationary. There will be no price rise. We will discuss what are the factors which cause supply to fall. So factors causing supply to fall include shortage of the factors of production or factor inputs. So we know that production is the end result of the using of the factor inputs. So when there is shortage of factor inputs, then supply will not be as the economy requires. So in view of rising demand, supply must increase so that we may have a balance. But if there are bottlenecks, there are shortage of factor inputs, supply will not increase. Supply will lag behind demand. So in that case, there will be price rise. Natural calamities. Natural calamities like floods, cyclones, earthquakes, tsunami waves, they are a major cause of fall in supply. And most of the coastal regions, including Orissa, they are affected by this type of natural calamities. Every year or in every alternate year, we have cyclones. We have high floods almost every year. With rising temperature, in view of the global warming and El Nino effect, what we see, cyclones have now become more frequent. As a result, cyclonic storms, they adversely affect production. Crops are adversely affected. So, natural calamity is also another factor that disrupts supply chain and cause price rise. Artificial scarcities, they are also accepted as a cause of inflationary price rise. So normally artificial price rise, artificial scarcities are created by greedy businessmen. So the businessmen, the greedy businessmen, the speculators, they create artificial scarcity. If they anticipate that there will be an increase in demand for the goods in future, create artificial scarcity. So that prices will rise. ମନେକର ଏଠି ଗୋଟେ ବାତ୍ୟା ଆସିବ ବୋଲି ଗୋଟେ ଖବର ବାହାରିଲା। ବାତ୍ୟା ଆସିବ ବୋଲି ଖବର ବାହାରିଲା ଯେତେବେଳେ ସମସ୍ତେ ଯିବେ ଏସେନ୍ସିଆଲ କମୋଡିଟି କିଣିବେ ବଜାରରୁ, ଚୁଡ଼ା, ଆଳୁ, ପିଆଜ। ତେଣୁ ବ୍ୟବସାୟୀ ମାନେ ସେଇଠି କଣ କରିବେ? ସେ ଆର୍ଟିଫିସିଆଲ ସ୍କାରସିଟି କ୍ରିଏଟ କରିବେ। ଧର ଜଣେ ବ୍ୟବସାୟୀ ଭାଗରେ 5 କୁଇଣ୍ଟାଲ ଆଳୁ ଅଛି, ସେ 1 କୁଇଣ୍ଟାଲ ଆଣିକି ଥୋଇବ ତା ଦୋକାନରେ। ପିଆଜ 10 କୁଇଣ୍ଟାଲ ଅଛି, 2 କୁଇଣ୍ଟାଲ ଥୋଇବ, ବାକିଟା ଷ୍ଟୋର ଘରେ ରଖିଥିବ। Demand is rising, but supply is not up to the mark. So in that case, this type of artificial scarcity is responsible for price rise, and in a large populous country like India, this type of problems is found everywhere. Industrial disputes. So we know that trade unions, they are organized. When there are highly organized trade unions, they demand for larger wages and other social amenities, so that there may be the possibility of industrial disputes between employers and employees, dispute between management and trade unions. So this type of strikes and lockouts, they adversely affect supply chain. Factories are closed, production will hamper. So this is also accepted as a cause of inflationary price rise. Increase in exports. So increase in export is also accepted as a cause of, found as a cause of inflationary price rise. When goods are exported to foreign countries, so there will be supply. So when supply falls short of demand, prices will rise. Another thing is international factors. So we now find that including India, almost all the countries of the world, they are now open economies. So all the countries, they are following the policies of liberalization, privatization and globalization. So due to globalization, if there is price rise in some country, it will be transmitted to other countries through trade through the export and import of goods and services. So inflation, especially in the large countries, large industrial countries, they are transmitted to other countries, and less developed countries are highly prone to this type of global trend. So these are the factors which are behind the supply side. So the logic we have the knowledge that given the demand for the goods and services, fall in supply will cause inflation, which is the case. If supply increase, then we may not have a price rise. On the other hand, with given supply of goods and services, when demand increases, there will be price rise, which is the case. If demand falls due to some reason or the other, like the depression or recessionary trend, we may have a price fall, which is very unlikely. So then, uh, I would think କଥା ମୁଁ କହୁଛି, inflation is of two types. One is demand pull inflation, other one is cost push inflation. So basically, is the result of excess demand, and cost push inflation is the result of increase in cost of production. So cost of production increases when labor unions, trade unions demand for higher wages, as a result of which cost of production increases. So when cost of production increases, price remaining constant, profit margin of the producer fall. So in order to maintain their profit margin, they will raise prices. The producers will increase the prices. It will be inflation. And you have to remember that prices will rise. When prices rise beyond the full employment stage, there will be, this can be called as true inflation. There are other type of inflation also, like mild inflation, creeping inflation, hyperinflation. So inflation is mild if rate of price rise is slow. If rate of price rise is slow, what will happen? This will encourage the producers to produce more and more. Mild rate of inflation increases the profit margin. They bring more profit to the producers. As the producers go for profit, profit is the life and blood of business. So when the producers get more profit, they will go for more production. Okay. This is mild inflation and its effect. But when inflation is very much high, which is called as hyperinflation, this will adversely affect demand, savings, investment. So this will be harmful for the economy. So these are the effects of inflation. How does inflation affect production? Inflation affects production differently. If a rate of inflation is mild, slow, it will encourage production. If rate of inflation is very high, then this will adversely affect purchasing power. This will adversely affect savings. When saving is adversely affected, investment will be less. When investment is less, there will be adverse impact on employment, output, and income. So, high rate of inflation is detrimental for the economy as a whole. That is why inflation is said to be economically harmful. ଆମେ କହୁ inflation is economically harmful and socially unjust. Why do inflation is called socially unjust? Because this is the effect of inflation on distribution. Inflationary price rise adversely affect the income of the poor, the income of the low income group. On the other hand, it increases the income of the traders, businessmen, entrepreneurs, producers. So the rich people, the business class, they get higher income during inflation. It is the poor people who are adversely affected. So purchasing power is distributed away from the low income group to the high income group. That is why inflation is said to be socially unjust. So inflation is economically harmful and socially unjust. These are the effects of inflation. So then we will move on to unemployment. What is unemployment? And when do unemployment is created? What are the effects of unemployment? So you must have some idea about it, but we can simply say that unemployment is a situation in which people who are willing to work at the prevailing wage rate do not find jobs. So you must remember the fact that when people who are willing to work at the prevailing wage rate do not find jobs, do not find work, this type of situation is called unemployment. And those people who are willing to work at the prevailing wage rate, they do not find jobs. They are called unemployed persons. Unemployment is a social malady. It may cause grave macroeconomic crisis. It causes huge loss of manpower and human resource. Almost all the countries of the world, especially the less developed countries, they are affected by the specter of unemployment much more. The developed countries like the European countries, USA, France, Germany, they are less affected by the problem of unemployment because they do not have excess manpower. They do not have excess labor force, excess reserve army of laborers. So an individual, as we have discussed, an individual is considered to be unemployed when he or she is willing to work at the prevailing wage rate, but unable to get one. For a country, it is a situation in which there are many persons willing to work at the existing wage rate, but they fail to get any productive employment. As a result, they sit idle. This is a loss of moral. Not only unemployment causes loss of power, it is a cause of loss of morality. So when people remain unemployed, they are poverty stricken. When they do not have income, they are prone to crime. So unemployment not only causes loss of manpower, loss of human resource, it also brings loss of morality, which is very much harmful for the country, for the economy. So we can simply say that if someone is not interested to work at the prevailing wage rate due to personal reason, he is said to be, he cannot be called unemployed. He can be called voluntarily unemployed. If a person may have a lot of landed property, if a person does not want to work due to low wages, then such a person not be included in the category of unemployed persons. It is the lack of work for a involuntary, those persons who are willing to work at the prevailing, they are called unemployed. So we can simply say that an unemployed person is one who has actively looked for work during the last 4 weeks. So we can define unemployed person as one who actively looked for work during the previous 4 weeks, or he is waiting to be recalled to a job after being laid off. Those people who are waiting to be recalled to a job after being laid off. So, due to some reason or the other, a industry is closed. There is a lockout. So in that case, there is the possibility that the workers who are temporarily laid off may be recalled. So this is the basic idea behind unemployment. So with the issue of unemployment, we have some technical terms. One is labor force. So the labor force consists of number of workers who are actually working or willing to work. It is not related to wage rate. So labor force actually consists of both employed as well as unemployed, because labor force consists of number of workers who are actually working or willing to work. So those people who are willing to work, they are also included in the labor force. So labor force, remember the thing that labor force consists of both employed as well as unemployed persons. Another related term is workforce. What is workforce? So workforce normally consists of persons who are actually working. Those who are willing to work, they are not included in the workforce. So they are in the labor force. So then there is another technical term, unemployment rate. How can we find unemployment rate? So unemployment rate is the ratio of number of persons unemployed to the size of labor force. So the ratio of unemployed persons to the size of labor force is technically called unemployment rate. So number of persons unemployed divided by size of labor force gives us the unemployment rate. Another thing is labor force participation rate. So you must have heard this term, labor force participation rate. So this
Sir,
refers to the
what is
percentage
labor
of
force?
population. Labor force.
Yes, sir.
So we have discussed that labor force consists of those persons who are willing to work and those who are working. Both are in labor force. ଯୋଉମାନେ କାମ କରୁଛନ୍ତି already, ଯୋଉମାନେ କାମ ଖୋଜୁଛନ୍ତି, both are in the labor force. But workforce ରେ କ'ଣ ହଉଛି? Workforce consists of only those people who are working. So those who are willing to work, who are seeking work, they are not in a workforce. Okay.
So if
So
we
that,
deduct from workforce to labor force, we will get the workers who are working,
actually
not
working.
willing to work.
Yes. So labor force means those persons who are actually working and those who are seeking work. These two are included in labor force.
Sir,
But
sir,
in
labor
case of
force.
workforce,
Hello,
go.
sir, sir, ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ
ହଁ
labor force ରୁ work force ଟା minus କରୁଛେ ଆମେ unemployment rate ଟା ପାଇବା କି?
ନା 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 ସେମିତି ହବନି. Unemployment rate ଟା ପରେ ଏଇଆ ହଉଛି number of persons who are unemployed. It is the number of persons who are unemployed to the size of labor force. The unemployed people divided by size of labor force. This gives the unemployment rate. ମନେକର ଗୋଟେ ଆମ ଧର କଣ୍ଟ୍ରିରେ 20 million people ସେ labor force ରେ ଅଛନ୍ତି. 10 million work force. ତାହେଲେ କଣ ହେଲା? ସେଠି labor force ରେ ରହିଲେ 20 million, 10 million are working. That means 10 million
10 million
people
are
are
job seekers.
willing to work, are seeking. Yes, yes. So labor force participation rate is another technical concept which simply refers to the percentage of population. Remember, percentage of population actually participating in productive activities. So it is the labor force participation rate is the percentage of population, total population, who are actually participating in economic activities, in productive activities. So this is the ratio of workforce and total population of a country in percentage terms. So that means labor force participation rate is equal to workforce, those who are working, divided by total population of a country into 100. To make it percentage terms, we have to multiply the ratio with 100. So this is the labor force participation rate. Then we will switch over to types of unemployment. So as students of economics, you have some idea about types of unemployment. So basically, there are 4 types of unemployment. 2 types found in rural sector, 2 in the urban sector. So the 2 type of unemployment that we mostly found in the rural sector, they are seasonal unemployment and a disguised unemployment. So unemployment arising in a specific season is called seasonal unemployment. So which is mostly found in the agricultural sector in a country like India. So in a country like India, where as much as 60% of the cultivable land depends on monsoon rain or irrigation, the farmers, they remain idle for almost half of the year. This is called seasonal unemployment. And what about disguised unemployment? Disguised unemployment is the unemployment arising out of excess population pressure in a sector. It is a situation in which number of workers needed is very much less than the number of workers engaged in a sector. ଯେତିକି ଲୋକ ଦରକାର ତାଠୁ ଯଦି ଅଧିକା ଲୋକ କାମ କରିବେ ଗୋଟେ ସେକ୍ଟରରେ, so that is called disguised unemployment. ମନେକର ଗୋଟେ ଫ୍ୟାମିଲିରେ ଏକରେ ଜମି ଅଛି, ତାଙ୍କର 3 ଭାଇ, 3 ଭାଇଙ୍କର 2 ପୁଅ, କେତେ ହେଲେ 3 ଦୁଗୁଣେ ସିଏ 3 ଭାଇ, ଇଏ ହେଲେ 2 ତିରିକି 6, 6 ତିରି 9, 9 ଜଣ ରହିଲେ ଲୋକ, ସମସ୍ତେ ସେଇ ଏକର ଜମିରେ କାମ କରୁଛନ୍ତି। One is working for 2 hours, one is working for 3 hours, one is going to the field by taking tea for the workers. But all these people, they think that they are actively engaged. So disguised unemployment is a situation in which there is excess pressure of a population. If we take away these excess people from the agricultural field and engage them in some other sector, maybe in the manufacturing sector, total production in the agricultural sector will not fall.
Sir, disguised
It may not
unemployment rate.
increase. Uh,
Sir, disguised
Go.
unemployment ରେ marginal productivity of labor କଣ 0 ହେଇଥାଏ କି?
Not zero, but maybe negative. କେବଳ ଜିରୋ ନୁହେଁ, ଏଇଟା
ଆଜ୍ଞା
ନେଗେଟିଭ ବି ହବ। କାହିଁକି ନା
ଆଜ୍ଞା
ଯୋଉଟା ମୁଁ କହୁଛି 3 ଜଣ ଲୋକ ଯୋଉଠି ଦରକାର ସେଠି 9 ଜଣ କାମ କରୁଛନ୍ତି। କିଏ ଚା ଜଳଖିଆ ନେଇକି ଯାଉଛି ଲୋକଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ, କିଏ ଛତା ଧରିକି ବଇଛି ହିଡ଼ ଉପରେ, ସିଏ ବି କହୁଛି ମୁଁ କାମ କରୁଛି, ମୁଁ ଜଗିଛି ଗାଈ ଗୋରୁ। କିଏ କହୁଛି ମୁଁ ପାଣି ମଡଉଛି, ସିଏ ବି କହୁଛି ମୁଁ ଆକ୍ଟିଭଲି ଏନଗେଜଡ। ବୁଝି ହେଲା କି? ସମସ୍ତେ କହୁଛନ୍ତି ଆମେ କାମ କରୁଛୁ, but it is very difficult to establish who is unemployed. That's why the term is used as disguised unemployed. जोटा को हम ओडिया रे
ଆଜ୍ଞା
प्रच्छन्न बेकारी बा छद्मवेशी बेकारी बोली कहुचे। छद्मवेश रे अछंती बेकारी जोटा हम चिन्हट करिवे। It is very difficult to find out who is actually employed, who is not employed up to potential. Okay. So these two type
ଆଜ୍ଞା
of unemployment are found in the rural sector, especially the agricultural sector. Then other type of unemployment that we found in the urban sector is most important one is educated unemployment. Unemployment among the educated people, educated mass. So naturally, with the spread of education, number the educated people, number of educated persons are increasing. But it is not possible for the government to provide employment to all these people. Sometimes these people, those people who are who have certificates, educational qualifications, they may not be actually employable. Employable ଆଉ ମାନେ qualified या दिटा भितर difference ଅଛି. People acquire certificates, but they do not possess skill to be employed. ଗୋଟେ example ମୁଁ କହୁଛି. So I was in a college and a person from Sweden, a student from Sweden come to, I was in Astarang. ମୁଁ ଅସ୍ତରଙ୍ଗ କଲେଜରେ ସ୍ୱିଡେନରୁ ଗୋଟେ ଷ୍ଟୁଡେଣ୍ଟ ଆସିଲା। କେମିତି ଆସିଲା ନା a person of Astarang in the Uppsala University as a professor. So this person, he came to Astarang for a doctoral, for a preparing a thesis. So he contacted me. I asked him, what is the basic reason for your thesis or for your work? ମୁଁ ତାକୁ ପଚାରିଲି ଯେ କାହିଁକି କ'ଣ ତମେ ପାସ୍ କରିଛ, କୁଆଡେ ଆସିଛ? ସିଏ କହିଲା ଯେ ମୁଁ ମାଟ୍ରିକ ପାସ୍ କରିଛି। ଆମେ ଯେମିତି ମାଟ୍ରିକ ପାସ୍ କଲେ କଲେଜରେ ପଢୁଛେ, ସିଏ ସେମିତି ମାଟ୍ରିକରେ ପାସ୍ କରିଛି। ମୁଁ କହିଲି ମାଟ୍ରିକ ପାସ୍ କଲା ପରେ କୁଆଡେ ଆସିଛ? ନା ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ ଥେସିସ୍ ଲେଖିବି। ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ thesis prepare କରିବି, ଗୋଟେ dissertation, small dissertation. I will submit it in the university, and if the university accept my dissertation, then I will be eligible to take admission in a college. So then I asked him, if not, if your thesis is not accepted, what will happen? He said, I will make a cycle shop. ଯଦି ମୋ thesis accept ନା ହବ, ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ ସାଇକେଲ ଦୋକାନ କରିବି। ମୁଁ ଆଉ ଟିକେ ଅଛି ପୁଣି ଷ୍ଟୋରି ମୋର। ସେଥିରୁ ସେ କହିଲା, ମୁଁ ପଚାରିଲି, ମୁଁ how can I help you and what is the topic on which you are going to write dissertation? He said that I have come to Odisha to write a thesis on how political campaign takes place during elections. ଭୋଟ ସମୟରେ କେମିତି ଭୋଟ ପ୍ରଚାର କରୁଛନ୍ତି ଲୋକମାନେ, କ୍ୟାଣ୍ଡିଡେଟ୍ସ ମାନେ, ସେଇ ବିଷୟରେ ମୁଁ ଷ୍ଟଡି କରିବି ଏବଂ ତା ଉପରେ ଗୋଟେ ଡିସର୍ଟେସନ ଲେଖିବି। ତାପରେ ମୁଁ କହିଲି, I cannot go along with you. I am very much eager to help you as a student. I am very much interested to help you, but I cannot go to the meetings, cannot go to the places where candidates they campaign. ସେ ପଚାରିଲା, ଭାଇ କାହିଁକି? ମୁଁ କହିଲି, ଆମର ଏଇଠି ମୁଁ ଯଦି ଯିବି ତମ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ ଭୋଟ ପ୍ରଚାରକୁ, ଯଦି କଂଗ୍ରେସ ମିଟିଂ ଯିବି, ବିଜେଡି ବାଲା କହିବେ ଯେ ସାରେ ବିଜେଡି କଂଗ୍ରେସ ହେଇଗଲେ, ଆଉ ଯଦି ବିଜେଡି ରାଲିକି ଯିବି, ସେ ଲୋକ କହିବେ ସାରେ ବିଜେଡି ହେଇଗଲେ। ନା ତାହେଲେ କଣ କରିବା? ମୁଁ ତାକୁ ଗୋଟେ ସଜେସନ ଦେଲି, ଗୋଟେ ପିଲାକୁ ମୁଁ I will employ a person. What is his qualification? I said he is a graduate. ସେ ଜଣେ ଗ୍ରାଜୁଏଟ୍, ମୁଁ ତାକୁ ତମକୁ ଆଣିକି ଯୋଗାଯୋଗ କରିଦେବି। ଯେ ସେ କହିଲା, ମୁଁ ତାକୁ 1000 ଟଙ୍କା ଲେଖା ଡେଲି ଦେବି ପ୍ରତିଦିନ। ମୁଁ କହିଲି ଠିକ ଅଛି। ସେ 1000 ଟଙ୍କା କଥାବାର୍ତ୍ତା କରି ସେ ପିଲାଟିକି ମୁଁ ପଠେଇଲି ଆ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ। ଏଇ ପିଲାଟି ଗୋଟେ ଛୋଟ କଲେଜରେ ଡିଗ୍ରୀ ପାସ୍ କରିଛି। ଡିଗ୍ରୀ ପାସ୍ କଲା ପରେ ସେଇଥିରୁ ଗଲା, ସନ୍ଧ୍ୟା ବେଳକୁ ସେ ପିଲାଟି ଆସି ମୋତେ ଭେଟିଲା, ସ୍ୱିଡେନର ପିଲାଟି। ସାର୍, he cannot say anything in English. How did he pass his degree? କଣ କହିବି ତାକୁ? ମୁଁ କହିଲି, ମୁଁ ସାଇଲେଣ୍ଟ ରହିଲି। କାହିଁକି? ମୁଁ ଜାଣୁଛି ସେଠି ଯୋଉ ସେଣ୍ଟର, ଯୋଉ କଲେଜରେ ସେ ପଢୁଥିଲା, କପି କରିକି ପାସ୍ କରିଛି। ତେଣୁ ଏଗୁଡାକ ମୁଁ ଆଉ ଜଣେ ଫରେନର ଆଗରେ ଡିସ୍କସନ ନ କରି ମୁଁ କହିଲି, ଓକେ, ହାଉ କ୍ୟାନ୍ ଆଇ ହେଲ୍ପ ୟୁ? ମୁଁ ତମକୁ ଆଉ କାହାକୁ ଏନଗେଜ କରୁନି। So you go to the field, you try to record the proceedings through a voice recorder, maybe a tape recorder. I will hear and I will tell the gist you in English. ସେ ସେଇଆ କଲା, ସବୁ ଗୋଟେ କ୍ୟାସେଟ ରେକର୍ଡରେ ସବୁକୁ ରେକର୍ଡ କରି ଆଣିଲା। ମୁଁ ସେଇଟାକୁ ଶୁଣିକିରି ତାକୁ ଇଂଲିଶରେ କହିଲି, ସେ ସେଗୁଡ଼ା ଲେଖିକିରି ଗଲା। ମତେ ଗଲା ବେଳକୁ 5-10 ହଜାର ଯାଚୁଥିଲା, ସାର୍ ନିଅନ୍ତୁ। ମୁଁ କହିଲି, ନା ନା, ଗୋଟେ ପିଲାଟେ ଷ୍ଟୁଡେଣ୍ଟ ପାଖରୁ ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ ପଇସା ନେବି, କିଛି ନୁହଁ। ନା ସାର୍, ତାହେଲେ ମୁଁ ମୋ ଥେସିସରେ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ବିଷୟରେ ଲେଖିବି। ମୁଁ କହିଲି, ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ଇଜ୍ ଓକେ। ତା ଅର୍ଥ ମୁଁ ଏଇ କଥାଟା କାହିଁକି କହିଲି? ଗୋଟେ ପିଲା BA ପାସ୍ କରିଛି, ସେ କିନ୍ତୁ ଇଂଲିଶରେ ଧାଡ଼ିଟେ କହିପାରୁନି। ସେଇ ଦୃଷ୍ଟିରୁ ମୁଁ କହିଲି, ଏଜୁକେଟେଡ୍ ଅନଏମ୍ପ୍ଲୟମେଣ୍ଟ ଆମ ଦେଶରେ ଯୋଉ ଅଛି, ତାର ଗୋଟେ କାରଣ ଖାଲି ଯେ ଆମେ କହୁଛେ ଦେयर ଆର୍ ନୋ ଇଣ୍ଡଷ୍ଟ୍ରିଜ୍ ଟୁ ୱାର୍କ, ନୋ ଅଫିସିଆଲ, ନୋ ଇନଷ୍ଟିଟ୍ୟୁସନାଲ employment is there. So unemployment in India, that is the educated unemployment that is found in urban India, is also there, is the result of lack of the people. ତେଣୁ ପିଲାମାନେ ମନୋଯୋଗ ସହକାରେ ଯଦି ପାଠ ନ ପଢିବେ, ଚାକିରି ପାଇବା ଆଜିକାଲି କଷ୍ଟ ହେଇପଡିବ। So this is educated unemployment. Another type of unemployment which is found in urban India is the unemployment of industrial workers. This is the type of unemployment which we found due to migration of people from rural areas to urban areas. So most of the people, large number of people from rural area, they migrate to the towns and the cities in anticipation of higher employment, scope for higher employment. But actually they do not find jobs easily. So they remain unemployed. ତମେ ଦେଖିଥିବ ସହର ମାନଙ୍କରେ ସବୁ ଛକ ମାନଙ୍କରେ ସକାଳୁ 8ଟାରୁ ଶହ ଶହ ଲୋକ ଠିଆ ହେଇଥିବେ, 9ଟା 10ଟା ଯାଏ ଠିଆ ହେଇଥିବେ। କାହିଁକି? To find employers. So he or she is all the people who eagerly wait on the squares in the towns, they are not fortunate enough to find jobs. ଯେତେ ଲୋକ ସେଠି ଛକରେ 600 ଲୋକ ଠିଆ ହେଇଥିବେ, ସମସ୍ତେ କାମ ପାଆନ୍ତିନି। So ଫେରି ଆସନ୍ତି ଘରକୁ ବାଧ୍ୟ ହେଇକିରି। So that is the unemployment of industrial workers. ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ type ର unemployment ଅଛି, frictional unemployment. So frictional unemployment arises in the economy due to change in taste and fashion of the consumers. So due to change in the taste and preference of the consumers, some of the goods may become old fashioned. As a result, the people who are engaged in the production of those goods, they remain unemployed. This is called frictional unemployment. ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ କହୁଛି, ଆଗରୁ ସମସ୍ତେ ରେଡିଓ ୟୁଜ କରୁଥିଲେ, ତେଣୁ ଆମେ ସବୁ ଗାଁ ଗହଳିରେ ସବୁ ରେଡିଓ ଦୋକାନ ଗୋଟେ ଗୋଟେ ଥିଲା। ମେକାନିକ ସବୁ ସେଠି ଥିଲେ, ରେଡିଓ ସବୁ ତିଆରି କରୁଥିଲେ। ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ କଣ ହେଲା ନା ଟିଭି ସେଟ୍ have replaced radio sets. ତାହେଲେ ସେଠି କଣ ହେଲା? ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ରେଡିଓ ଆଉ କାହା ପାଖରେ ନାହିଁ। Those people who were engaged in radio repairing, they became unemployed. ସେ unemployed ହେଇଗଲେ। ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ଆହୁରି ରିସେଣ୍ଟ କଥା, people are not also viewing TV as much as they did before 20 years. 10-20 ବର୍ଷ ତଳେ ଲୋକ ଟିଭି ଯେତେ ଦେଖୁଥିଲେ ଏବେ ଦେଖୁନାହାନ୍ତି। ଏବେ କଣ ଦେଖୁଛନ୍ତି? ମୋବାଇଲ ଫୋନ୍ସ। ତାହେଲେ ସେଠି କଣ ହେଲା? Those people who are engaged in repairing TV sets, they find no job, they find no income, they are unemployed. So this type of unemployment is called frictional unemployment. Okay. ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ type of unemployment ଅଛି underemployment. ସେଇଟା ବି ତମେ ସବୁ ଶୁଣିଥିବ ପିଲେ, student of economics ହିସାବରେ ଆମେ ସବୁ ଜାଣିଛେ। Underemployment is a situation when a person works but not up to his or her full capacity. If a person works for 3 days or less than a week in a month, he is called underemployed labor. ଯଦି ଗୋଟେ ଲୋକ ଦିନକୁ 3 ଘଣ୍ଟାରୁ କମ୍ ବା ମାସକୁ ସପ୍ତାହରୁ କମ୍ ସମୟ ପାଇଁ କାମ କରୁଛି, ସେ underemployed। ତାକୁ ଆମେ କହିବା 2-4 ବର୍ଷ 10 ବର୍ଷ ପୂର୍ବେ ଅଫିସରେ ସବୁ ସରକାରୀ ଅଫିସରେ ଆମେ ଦେଖିବା ଲୋକ ନଥିବେ। ତ ହେଲମେଟ, କୋଉ ଟେବୁଲରେ ହେଲମେଟ ଥୁଆ ହେଇଥିବ, କୋଉ ଟେବୁଲରେ କଲମ ପେନ୍ ଫେନ୍ ସବୁ ଥୁଆ ହେଇଥିବ, ଲୋକ କେହି ନଥିବେ। କୁଆଡ଼େ ଗଲେ? କିଏ କୁଆଡ଼େ ବଜାର ଯାଇଛନ୍ତି, କିଏ କ'ଣ ଅନ୍ୟ କାମରେ ବି ଯାଇଛନ୍ତି। ବାବୁଙ୍କୁ ଅପେକ୍ଷା କରିବାକୁ ପଡ଼ିବ ଆମକୁ। ଏଠୁ ଦରମା ପାଉଛନ୍ତି କିନ୍ତୁ କୁଆଡ଼େ ବାହାରେ ବୁଲୁଛନ୍ତି। they are underemployed. ତାକୁ ଆମେ underemployment ବୋଲି କହିବା। So underemployment certainly causes wastage of manpower, and it is found to be a serious challenge in our economy. So we can simply say that underemployment refers to a situation where the employed people are not able to contribute according to their full capacity. It also arises due to placement of
Why, sir?
right person in a wrong place. ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ କଥା, if right person is placed in a wrong place, there is also underemployment. ମୁଁ କହିବି ଯେ ଆଜିକାଲି ଯୋଉ ଗତ 2-3 ଦିନ ତଳେ ଗୋଟେ ହୋମ ଗାର୍ଡ ପାଇଁ ସିଲେକ୍ସନ ହଉଥିଲା ପୋଲିସରେ, ସେଇଠି ଆମେ ଦେଖିଲେ ଡିଗ୍ରୀ, ଇଞ୍ଜିନିୟରିଂ, PG, all these students, they have also applied for home guard post. So if a person with a BTech degree or MBA degree is employed as a home guard, then there will be underemployment. ସେଟାକୁ ଆମେ underemployment କହିବା। ଇଣ୍ଡିଆରେ ସେଇଟା ହଉଛି।
Why, sir? Why?
ତାର କାରଣ କୁହ। It's due to excessive population pressure, too much labor force, lack of proper employment opportunities. These are the reasons.
Sir, how did it will impact on labor force?
So labor force, all these people, they are in the labor force. A graduate or a graduate with a technical degree or a person with MBA, if he works as a home guard, then his capacity is not fully utilized. His skill is not fully utilized. Home guard, the job of home guard can be best performed by a person with matriculation qualification. So there is no need for a student with MBA degree or postgraduate degree to do the work of home guard. We cannot say that a person with MBA degree, if he or she is engaged in home guard as home guard, his efficiency will or her efficiency will be higher. So there is no need for such increased efficiency. Okay. ତେଣୁ ତାର ତ କ୍ୱାଲିଫିକେସନ ଏତିକି। ଆମେ ଯଦି ଗୋଟେ ସେଠି ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ସେମିତି ଗୋଟେ ଏକ୍ଜାମ୍ପଲ ମୁଁ କହିବି, ଗୋଟେ କଲେଜରେ ପୋଷ୍ଟ ପାଇଁ ଇଣ୍ଟରଭ୍ୟୁ ହଉଥିଲା, ମୁଁ ଯାଇଥିଲି ସେଠି। ଆଉ ଇକୋନୋମିକ୍ସରେ ବି ତାଙ୍କର ଲେକ୍ଚରର ପାଇଁ ଇଣ୍ଟରଭ୍ୟୁ ହଉଥିଲା। ତେଣୁ ଲେଡି ଆଟେଣ୍ଡାଣ୍ଟ ପୋଷ୍ଟ ପାଇଁ ପୋଷ୍ଟ ଗ୍ରାଜୁଏଟ୍ ପିଲା ଆପ୍ଲାଏ କରୁଥିଲେ, ଡିଗ୍ରୀ ପିଲା, MBA ପିଲା ବି ଆପ୍ଲାଏ କରିଥିଲେ, କିନ୍ତୁ ତାଙ୍କର ତ କ୍ୱାଲିଫିକେସନ 10th ପାସ୍ ଦରକାର। ଆକ୍ଚୁଆଲି ଲେଡି ଆଟେଣ୍ଡାଣ୍ଟ ପାଇଁ 7th କ୍ଲାସ୍ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟର ଯାହା ଏଲିଜିବିଲିଟି, ସେଇଟାକୁ କଲେଜ ବାଲା 10th ବୋଲି ଇଏ କରିଛନ୍ତି, କିନ୍ତୁ ପିଲା ଦେଖୁଛନ୍ତି ଏଇ ଟାଇପର ଅଛି।
ସାର୍ ଇଏ ତ ଗଲା
ତେଣୁ
ଗୋଟେ
ଏଇଟାକୁ
ମାନେ
ଆମେ
ଅଣ୍ଡର
underemployed।
ଏମ୍ପ୍ଲୟମେଣ୍ଟ।
ହଁ
ସାର୍ ଆଜ୍ଞା
କୁହ।
ସାର୍, ଇଏ ଗୋଟେ ପ୍ରକାର ଅଣ୍ଡର ଏମ୍ପ୍ଲୟମେଣ୍ଟ ଗଲା। କିନ୍ତୁ ସାର୍ ଯୋଉମାନେ ଜବ ରେ ଅଛନ୍ତି କିନ୍ତୁ ଠକୁଛନ୍ତି, ମାନେ କାମ କରୁନାହାନ୍ତି,
ହଁ
ତାଙ୍କ ମାନେ
ସେଇଟା ବି ଅଣ୍ଡର ଏମ୍ପ୍ଲୟମେଣ୍ଟ।
ସେଇଟା ସାର୍, ସେଇ ତ ମାନେ ଦିଟା ଯାକ
ମୁଁ
ଅଲଗା
ଯାହା
ରହିବ ନା,
କହିବି
ମାନେ ଏଇ
ଶୁଣ, ସେଟା ଦି ପ୍ରକାର ଅଣ୍ଡର ଏମ୍ପ୍ଲୟମେଣ୍ଟ ଟେକ୍ସ ପ୍ଲେସ୍ when a person fails to justify his duty by working for less time, and similarly when a person with a higher qualification do a job that needs lower qualification. So both the cases are there and both these are categorized as underemployment. ତେଣୁ ସେ ଯାହା ଯୋଉ ଜଣେ ଲୋକ ଅଫିସରେ ହେଲମେଟ ଥୋଇ ଦେଇକି ଟେବୁଲ ଉପରେ ବୁଲିକିରି କୁଆଡ଼େ ଚା ଖାଇଲେ, ପାନ ଖାଇଲେ, ଏମିତି ହେଇକି ଆସିକି ପୁଣି ହେଲମେଟଟା ନେଇକି ସନ୍ଧ୍ୟାବେଳେ ଗଲେ, ମାସକୁ ଦରମା 30,000 50,000 ପାଇଲେ।
ସାର୍
ସେଇଟା
ଦି
ଅଣ୍ଡର
ଜଣ
ଏମ୍ପ୍ଲୟମେଣ୍ଟ।
ଅଣ୍ଡର ଏମ୍ପ୍ଲୟମେଣ୍ଟ। ସାର୍ ଦି ଜଣ ଅଣ୍ଡର ଏମ୍ପ୍ଲୟମେଣ୍ଟ, କିନ୍ତୁ ଆପଣ ଯୋଉଟା କହିଲେ କଣ, ଗୋଟେରେ କଣ ଅଣ୍ଡର ଏମ୍ପ୍ଲୟମେଣ୍ଟ ପାଇଁ ତାଙ୍କୁ କିଛି ମିଳୁନି, ମାନେ ୱେଜେସ୍ କିଛି ମିଳୁନି, କିନ୍ତୁ ଏ ଯୋଉ ଅଣ୍ଡର ଏମ୍ପ୍ଲୟମେଣ୍ଟ ଟା ମାନେ ଠକିକି ତାଙ୍କୁ କିନ୍ତୁ ପ୍ରପର ମାନେ
ଦରମା
ସାଲାରୀ ମିଳୁଛି, କିନ୍ତୁ
ହଁ
ସେମାନଙ୍କର କିନ୍ତୁ
ଲସ୍ ଅଫ୍
ୱାର୍କିଂ।
କେସ୍
ଆଜ୍ଞା
both.
गोटे अंडर एम्प्लॉयमेंट
both
गोटे अंडर डिसगस्ड एम्प्लॉयमेंट ए टाइप रो हो ना.
no, both are called as underemployment because both result in loss of human resource. ସେ ଲୋକ ବୁଲି ବୁଲିକିରି କିଛି କାମ କଲାନି, ଫାଇଲ କିଛି ପଢିଲି, ତା ପାଖରେ ଯାହା ଫାଇଲ ପେଣ୍ଡିଂ ହେଇକି ରହିଛି, କିନ୍ତୁ ଦରମା ନେଇଯାଉଛି ସରକାରୀ ଦରମା, କିନ୍ତୁ ପ୍ରାଇଭେଟ ସେକ୍ଟରରେ ସେମିତି ତ ହବନି. So this type of underemployment, the first one that we have discussed, is mostly found in government sector, not in private sector. ପ୍ରାଇଭେଟ ସେକ୍ଟରରେ ଦେଖୁଛ ପିଲା କେତେ କାମ କରୁଛନ୍ତି, ଯୋଉ ସବୁ କମ୍ପାନୀରେ ସକାଳ 8ରୁ ରାତି 8, 9ଟାରୁ ରାତି 8ଟା, 12 ଘଣ୍ଟା 10 ଘଣ୍ଟା କାମ କରୁଛନ୍ତି. ତେଣୁ ସେଇଠି ତମେ କେତେ କାମ କଲ, ତମ ପାଖକୁ କେତେ ଫାଇଲ ଆସିଲା, ସବୁ ଡିଟେଲ ମେଣ୍ଟେନ କରିକି ତମକୁ ହାୟର ଅଥରିଟିକି ଜଣେଇବ, ତାପରେ ଘରକୁ ଯିବ. ଯେପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ତମ କାମ ସବୁ ନ ସରିଛି ରାତି 10ଟା 11ଟା ବି ରହିବ ନା ନାଇଁ. ତେଣୁ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ସେକ୍ଟର ସେଇ ଯୋଉ ଅନଏମ୍ପ୍ଲୟମେଣ୍ଟ କଥା କହିଲେ ଲୋକ ଠକି ବୁଲୁଛନ୍ତି, this is mostly in the government sector. So due to that, government has reduced the number of peons, clerks, they were earlier employed in the government offices. କାରଣ ଏବେ ଦେଖିବ ତମ ଅଫିସର ନିଜେ କମ୍ପ୍ୟୁଟରରେ ସବୁ କାମ କରୁଛନ୍ତି. ଫାଇଲ ଆଉ ଏମିତି ପିଅନ ଧରିକି ଆଗରୁ କ୍ଲର୍କ ଫାଇଲ ତିଆରି କରିବ, ସେକ୍ସନ ଅଫିସର ନୋଟ ଦବ, ତାକୁ ପିଅନ ନେଇକି ଯିବ ହାୟର ଅଥରିଟିଙ୍କ ପାଖକୁ, ଆଉ ସେସବୁ ନାହିଁ. ତେଣୁ ଅଫିସର ସବୁ ତିଆରି କଲେ, ନୋଟ ସିଟ୍ କଲେ, ସବୁ କମ୍ପ୍ୟୁଟରରେ ସେ ପଠେଇଦେଲେ ତାକୁ ହାୟର ଅଫିସରଙ୍କୁ, ସେ ତାକୁ ଆକ୍ସେପ୍ଟ କରିବେ କି ରିଜେକ୍ଟ କରିବେ, କଲା ପରେ ପୁଣି ହାୟର ଅଥରିଟିଙ୍କ ପାଖକୁ ଗଲା, ସେ ତାଙ୍କ ରିମାର୍କ ଦେଇକି ଛାଡ଼ିବେ. ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ଏଇଟା ସେଇ ଯୋଗୁଁ, ଡ୍ୟୁ ଟୁ ଏଇ ଅଣ୍ଡର ଏମ୍ପ୍ଲୟମେଣ୍ଟ ଯୋଗୁଁ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ କମେଇ ଦେଇଛି ତାର ଏମ୍ପ୍ଲୟମେଣ୍ଟ. ଯାହା ହଉ ଆମକୁ ପ୍ରାଇଭେଟ ସେକ୍ଟର ଜବ୍ ଉପରେ ନିର୍ଭର କରିବାକୁ ପଡ଼ିବ. So in a private sector market, in a market economy, most of the jobs are in the private sector. Good jobs are also found in the private sector. So there is nothing wrong in doing private sector job. Okay. So then we will discuss what are the effects of unemployment or underemployment. So normally, unemployment or underemployment brings loss to the economy. It brings loss of output. It creates an adverse impact on income distributions. It causes poverty. It may cause loss of morality and fall in social value. जोटा आम डिस्कसन करते, यदि जड़े पिला चाकरी न पाइला, खाया पाइलानी, गरीब हो गला, so he will fall prey, he will become or she will become an easy prey to the unsocial elements. So there will be loss of morality and fall in social value. Nahi? So
Sir,
we
how
all,
can we reduce the unemployment?
so unemployment can be simply reduced by creating more jobs. But jobs cannot be created just like foods are created or vegetables are created in agricultural fields. So government has to take steps to start industries. So in India, we don't have sufficient industries. Even if the government wants, they are not in a position to make a industry. पोस्को बोली गोटे शुणिथो ये वर्ड, पोस्को चाहूला पारादीप गोटे आयरन स्टील इंडस्ट्री करने, जोटि 10-20 हजार लोक कम पाई था. ओडिशा रे भी रॉ मटेरियल्स अच्छी, आयरन ओर कोल, सेटा करदेले लोक, से भी लैंड एक्विजिशन कला, लैंड सब लोकों को जमी अधिग्रहण हो सारी. बट ड्यू टू पॉलिटिकल rivalry, it was not possible to establish the industry, and POSCO go out of Odisha. Maybe it is starting industry in Gujarat. तेणु आमर इंडस्ट्री हेले ही हम, जो अमेरिका रे बोथ मेल एंड फीमेल बोथ men and women, they are working. Highest, the work participation rate is higher in America, USA. But in India, work participation rate is higher for women in rural area, but not in urban areas. Because most of the uh, female workers, the, they are engaged in agriculture. Such avenues are not there in towns and cities. In towns and cities, most of the people, the boys and girls, they are educated, but they are not employed in industries, not in institutes, not corporate bodies, due to some reason or the other. Okay. ଆଉ କ'ଣ ପିଲେ କାହାର ଅଛି କୁହ? କ'ଣ କିଛି ଆଉ ପଚାରିବାର ଅଛି କୁହ? ତେଣୁ ଅନଏମ୍ପ୍ଲୟମେଣ୍ଟ ସଲ୍ଭ କରିବାର ଗୋଟିଏ ବାଟ ହେଉଛି ଇଣ୍ଡଷ୍ଟ୍ରି. So service sector now is the important sector. Its contribution to our national income is highest, more than 50%. But 24% of the workers are engaged in service sector. Service sector ରେ ଆମ ଦେଶର exactly for 54% of our national income comes from the services sector in India.
Sir, how much percent of unemployment are there?
ସେଇଠି କ'ଣ ହଉଛି ଆମେ ଦେଖୁଛେ ଯେ ଆମର ସର୍ଭିସ ସେକ୍ଟରରୁ ଆସୁଛି 54% ଅଫ୍ ନ୍ୟାସନାଲ ଇନକମ୍, କିନ୍ତୁ ଯେତିକି ୱାର୍କର୍ସ ଅଛନ୍ତି ତାଙ୍କ ଭିତରୁ ମୋଟେ 24% ଦେ ଆର୍ ଏମ୍ପ୍ଲଏଡ୍ ଇନ୍ ସର୍ଭିସ ସେକ୍ଟର, 23% ଇନ୍ ଇଣ୍ଡଷ୍ଟ୍ରିଆଲ ସେକ୍ଟର, ମ୍ୟାନୁଫ୍ୟାକ୍ଚରିଂ ସେକ୍ଟର. କେତେ ହେଲା? 24, 23, 47. So that means 53% of the workers, they are engaged in agriculture. But the share of agriculture to our national income is less than 20%. So what does it show? So those people, majority of people are in the work, are working in the agricultural sector, they have less income. So they remain in poverty. They do not get proper scope to educate their children. They do not get proper
ସାର୍ ପୁଣି ସେ ୱେଲଫେୟାର ସ୍କିମ୍ ଯେ ଆପଣ ଯୋଉ ପୂର୍ବରୁ କହିଥିଲେ ସେଗୁଡାକୁ ଟିକେ ରିଭାଇଜ କରିଦେବେ?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Uh, so these are the things which are associated with unemployment. So then another thing that we are going to discuss is a relation between unemployment and inflation. Okay. So there is a what type of is there any relationship between unemployment and inflation? If yes, what is type of relation?
Sir, it will be a inverse relation type.
Okay. So the relation between inflation and unemployment is best explained by a technique called Phillips curve. So British economist A.W. Phillips, he has identified and analyzed the relationship that exists between the rate of unemployment and the rate of increase in money wages or inflation. And he found that there is an inverse relationship between these two. So he has his analysis on the basis of empirical data on wage rate and unemployment rate in the United Kingdom for the period from 1862 to 1957. That means on the basis of data for almost 100 years, he has come to the conclusion. He has found an empirical relationship which simply shows that when unemployment is high, the rate of increase in money wage rate is low. This is the inverse relationship between unemployment and inflation. So on the basis of empirical data of the United Kingdom for 1862 to 1957, Phillips has found that when unemployment is high, the chances of increase in money wage rate is low. It's natural. If there is a huge unemployment, then people are willing to work at low wages. ଯଦି ଅନଏମ୍ପ୍ଲୟମେଣ୍ଟ ବେଶୀ ହବ ତାହେଲେ ସେ କେସରେ କ'ଣ ହବ?
ଲୋକ low wage ରେ କାମ କରିବେ।
କାମ କରିବାକୁ ଇଚ୍ଛା କରିବେ ଆଉ। ଯଦି କିଛି କାମ ମିଳୁନି ଆମେ ଘର if we work without any if we sit idly without any work, then how can we manage our family? So then if a person is without employment, if a person is without work, then it is better to have low wages than no wages. It is better to have low wages than no wages. ତେଣୁ ବିନା ଦରମାରେ ବା ବିନା ପଇସାରେ ବସିବା ଅପେକ୍ଷା କମ ପଇସାରେ ରୋଜଗାର କଲେ ଆମେ ଯିବା କାମ କରିବା. So this is the case. He says Phillips found that when unemployment is high, rate of increase in money wage rate is low. So that means at a higher rate of unemployment, the rate of rise in money wage rate or the rate of rise in wage inflation is lower. So this is the case, and as a result of which we may have a Phillips curve which is downward sloping. When we measure unemployment, ହେଲା ତେଣୁ critics are of the view that
ସାର୍
this is
ଆପଣ ଭଏସ
found
କ୍ଲିୟର ଆସୁନି।
ସେ ଗୋଟେ ଲୋକ କଲ୍ କରୁଛି ବାରମ୍ବାର ତାକୁ ମାନେ ଆଉ
ସାର୍ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଭଏସ
ସେଇ
କ୍ଲିୟର ଆସୁନି ଆପଣ
ଡିଷ୍ଟର୍ବାନ୍ସ
ସାର୍ ଆପଣଙ୍କ
ହଉଛି।
ଭଏସ କ୍ଲିୟର ଆସୁନି।
ଏବେ ଶୁଭିଲା ତ? ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ ସାର୍ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଭଏସ କ୍ଲିୟର ଆସୁନି ସାର୍।
ସେଇଠି କଣ is of short run nature and in the long run ହ୍ୟାଲୋ ଏବେ ଭଏସ କ୍ଲିୟର
ସାର୍
ହେଲା କି?
ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଆବାଜ କ୍ଲିୟର ଆସୁନି। ହଁ ସାର୍ ଏଥର କୁହନ୍ତୁ ସାର୍ ଗୋଟେ 5 ମିନିଟ ହେଲା ସାର୍ ଆବାଜ
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
କ୍ଲିୟର ଆସୁନଥିଲା।
ଶୁଣ ସେଇ ଯୋଉ ଆମେ କହିଲେ
ହଁ
ଯେ
ସାର୍
ରେଟ୍ ଅଫ
ଏଥର କୁହନ୍ତୁ
ଇନଫ୍ଲେସନ
ଏଥର
ଆଣ୍ଡ ରେଟ୍
କ୍ଲିୟର
ଅଫ
ହେଲା।
ମନି ୱେଜ ଇନକ୍ରିଜ ହଁ ହଉ ଠିକ ଅଛି। ସେ ଯୋଉଟା ଆମେ ରହିଲେ ଫିଲିପ୍ସ କର୍ଭ has established a inverse relationship between inflation and unemployment and he established the fact that if there is high unemployment there are chances of increasing the wage rate to a less extent. So if we have high unemployment then this can be solved to some extent by reducing the wage rate. However, this type of Phillips curve, the downward sloping Phillips curve, was challenged by others like Milton Friedman, James Tobin, who argue that this type of inverse relationship between inflation and wage unemployment or the trade-off between inflation and unemployment is found in the short run. We cannot find such a relationship, such an inverse relationship or such a trade-off in the long run. And they argue that in the long run, the Phillips curve is not downward sloping, rather it is vertical. So at the natural rate of inflation, the critics argue, the Phillips curve is a vertical curve in the long run. So this is the relation between inflation and unemployment. And the last bit in this
Sir, what type of difference we
okay.
will see in long term and short term?
In the long run, the Phillips curve is not downward sloping, rather it is vertical. In the long run, this is not possible to create more employment by reducing wage rate. So there are different reasons behind this. So we will discuss all these issues. There are so many things are there to discuss. And in the last bit in this block is the rational expectations hypothesis. So we will discuss this issue, the issue of rational expectation hypothesis tomorrow. Okay. And I will send you the materials that we have discussed today tomorrow.
ओके सर
Okay.
सर ଆପଣ କୋଉ ବୁକ୍ ରୁ ସେ ଇଏ ଗୁଡା ପଠଉଛନ୍ତି
ସେ
materials ଗୁଡା
ମୋର ବହି ଅଛି ମାକ୍ରୋ ଇକୋନୋମିକ୍ସ ର
ସାର୍ କୋଉ ଅଥରଙ୍କର
ମୋର ନିଜର I have written 20 or 25 books in different fields, macro, micro, Indian economics. So this is the
ओके सर
material that I have sent you is very simple to follow. It would be
यस सर
helpful for you. So I will send you the materials relating to inflation and unemployment, maybe today or tomorrow morning hour. Okay. So thank you. Thank you all.
थैंक यू सर थैंक यू सर